The rain didn't just fall. It clawed at my skin, each drop a reminder of the life I'd lost in a single night. My name is Ethan Caldwell, and on my 25th birthday, the world I'd built me love, my trust, my future crumbled under the weight of a truth I never saw coming. By midnight, I'd learned that the man I loved was the architect of my ruin. It started with a text, one I shouldn't have seen. I was in our cramped Brooklyn apartment, the one Julian and I had scraped together every penny to afford. The place smelled of coffee and his cologne, a mix that used to feel like home. My phone buzzed on the counter as I iced my birthday cake, a lopsided chocolate mess I'd made myself because Julian swore he'd be home late from his law firm. The text was from an unknown number, but the words burned into my retina. He's lying to you. Ethan, check his laptop. Now. I froze, the icing bag trembling in my hands. Julian, my Julian, with his sharp jawline and promises of forever, couldn't be hiding anything. We'd been together 3 years, survived my coming out to my conservative family, his late nights at the firm, and the whispered dreams of a life beyond this city. But doubt is a seed, and that text planted it deep. I shouldn't have looked. God, I wish I hadn't. His laptop sat on the coffee table, its screen glowing faintly. The password was my birthday, ironic, now that I think about it. A few clicks, and I was staring at emails that weren't meant for me. Messages to his boss, his real boss, not the law firm partner he'd claimed. Julian wasn't just a junior attorney. He was working for a private investigation firm, one that dug into people's lives for profit. And the latest target, me. My breath caught as I scrolled through files labeled Caldwell. Bank statements, my old college transcripts, even photos of me at the community center where I volunteered. Why? I wasn't rich or powerful. I was just a graphic designer scraping by, trying to make a name for myself. But there it was, in black and white. Julian had been paid to get close to me, to watch me. The door clicked open, and there he was, rain-soaked and beautiful, his green eyes catching the light. Ethan, you're up late, he said, voice smooth as ever. He didn't know I'd seen the truth. Not yet. Whose laptop is this? Julian. My voice shook, but I held up the damning screen. His face didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes, guilt. Maybe. Or calculation. He stepped closer, and I backed away. The cake forgotten. The room shrinking around us. Ethan, let me explain. Explain what? That you've been lying to me for years. That I'm just a job to you. My voice cracked, and I hated how much it hurt. I loved him. I'd given him everything, me heart, my trust, my dreams of a quiet life together. And now, this. It's not what you think, he said, his tone urgent now. I was going to tell you. I swear. Tell me what? That you're a fraud. That you've been spying on me for some shady company. I was shouting now, the neighbors probably hearing every word through our thin walls. Why me? Julian. What's so special about me? He hesitated, and that pause was a knife to my chest. Then he said, it's about your father. My father. The man who disowned me at 18 when I told him I was gay. The man I hadn't spoken to in 7 years. Who ran a construction empire in upstate New York. The man I tried to forget. What does he have to do with this? I demanded. Julian's jaw tightened. He's not who you think he is, Ethan. He's involved in things, big things. Dangerous things. I was hired to get close to you to find out what you know. I don't know anything. I snapped. I haven't talked to him since I was a kid. I know that now, Julian said, his voice softer, almost pleading. But when I started, I didn't. I thought you were part of it. Ethan, I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't mean to fall in love with you. Love. The word hit like a punch. I wanted to believe him, to cling to the version of Julian I'd known, the one who'd held me through panic attacks, who'd laughed with me over cheap wine, who'd promised we'd get married someday. But the emails, the files, the lies, they were louder than his words. "Get out," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "Ethan, please, get out." He left, the door slamming behind him, and I sank to the floor, the rain still pounding outside. My 25th birthday, the day I thought I'd celebrate with the man I loved, had become the day I lost everything. But this was only the beginning. The truth about Julian, about my father, about the secrets tying them together, it would unravel my life in ways I couldn't yet imagine. By morning, I was on a bus to upstate New York, my father's last known address clutched in my hand. If Julian thought I was part of some game, I'd find the truth myself, even if it broke me. The bus smelled of stale coffee and regret, rattling along the highway toward a past I'd spent years running from. My father's address was a crumpled post-it in my pocket, the only clue I had to why my life had imploded. I hadn't slept, hadn't eaten, just stared out the window, Julian's betrayal replaying like a bad movie in my head. Upstate New York unfolded in gray patches of farmland and small towns, each mile pulling me closer to James Caldwell, the man who'd called me a disappointment and shut the door on me 7 years ago. I'd been 18, trembling as I told him I was gay, hoping for a shred of understanding. Instead, he'd throw me out, his construction empire more important than his only son. Now, Julian's words, "He's involved in things, big things, dangerous things," echoed, and I wondered who my father really was. The bus dropped me in a town called Haverford, population barely 5,000. The address led to a sprawling estate on the outskirts, all iron gates and manicured lawns, nothing like the modest house I'd grown up in. My father had clearly climbed higher in the world, or fallen deeper into whatever Julian had hinted at. I buzzed the gate, half expecting to be turned away. Instead, a security guard waved me through, his eyes scanning me like I was a threat. The house loomed ahead, a modern fortress of glass and steel. Before I could knock, the door opened, and there he was, James Caldwell, grayer but still imposing, his suit pristine despite the early hour. "Ethan," he said, his voice flat, like he'd been expecting me. "What do you want?" No warmth, no surprise, just the same cold stare I remembered. "I need answers," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "About you. About why someone would pay my boyfriend to spy on me." His eyes narrowed, but he stepped aside, letting me in. The foyer was all marble and sharp angles, a far cry from the cluttered home of my childhood. "You shouldn't be here," he said, leading me to a study lined with books he'd never read. "This isn't your world." "Then why am I in it?" I snapped. "Julian me ex said you're mixed up in something dangerous." "What's going on, Dad? What's worth ruining my life over?" He didn't flinch at the word dad, but his fingers tightened around a glass of whiskey he poured from a decanter. "Julian," he muttered, like the name tasted bitter. "I warned them not to involve you." "Them? Who's them?" My heart pounded. This wasn't just about Julian anymore. He sighed, sitting behind a massive desk. "I run a business, Ethan. Construction, yes, but also investments, partnerships. Some of them aren't clean. People want leverage over me, and they thought you were the key." "Leverage for what?" I pressed, my voice rising. "I don't know anything about your business." "Exactly," he said, his tone sharp. "You're a liability because you're my son. I kept you out of this for a reason." I laughed, bitter and hollow. "You kept me out because you were ashamed of me." His silence was answer enough. I turned to leave, but his voice stopped me. "Ethan, wait." There's something you need to know. About Julian. I froze, my hand on the doorknob. What about him? He's not just a hired hand. He's connected to the people I work with. He's been playing both sides. Ethan, using you to get to me, and using me to climb their ranks. My stomach twisted. Julian, the man who'd kissed me under Brooklyn streetlights, who'd promised me forever, was he really that calculating? You're lying, I said, but my voice wavered. Am I? He slid a folder across the desk. Inside were photos Julian with men in suits, shaking hands at some upscale event. Dates, names, transactions. Proof he was deeper in this than he'd admitted. I left the estate in a daze, the folder tucked under my arm. My father's words, Julian's lies, they swirled together. A storm I couldn't outrun. Back in town, I checked into a cheap motel, the kind with flickering neon signs and stained carpets. I needed a plan, but first, I needed to know who I could trust. That night, I called my best friend, Mia, the only person who'd stuck by me after my family cut me off. She answered on the first ring, her voice a lifeline. Ethan, where are you? I've been worried sick. I told her everything: Julian's betrayal, my father's cryptic warnings, the folder burning a hole in my bag. I don't know what to do, Mia, I admitted. I thought I knew him. Stay where you are, she said. I'm driving up. We'll figure this out together. As I waited, I opened the folder again, staring at Julian's face in those photos. The man I'd loved was a stranger. But the deeper I dug, the more I realized this wasn't just about me. My father's partners, Julian's real employers, they were part of something bigger. Something that could destroy more than just my heart. Mia arrived at the motel just after dawn, her beat-up Honda screeching into the parking lot. She was a whirlwind of curly hair and fierce loyalty, the kind of friend who'd drop everything for you. You look like hell, she said, pulling me into a hug that smelled of lavender and motor oil. I feel like it, I muttered, leading her into the dingy room. The folder lay open on the bed, Julian's face staring up at us. Mia's eyes widened as she flipped through the photos and documents, her usual sarcasm replaced by a grim focus. This is bad, Ethan, she said, holding up a page with names I didn't recognize. These people: Vincent Marlowe, Elena Vostiri, not just business types. They're connected to organized crime. Your dad's company is a front. A front for what? I asked, my voice hoarse. The room felt too small, the walls closing in. Money laundering. Maybe. Or worse. She pointed to a transaction record. Look at this: millions moving through shell companies. And Julian's name is all over it. I sank onto the bed, my head spinning. Julian had been my anchor, the one person who made me feel like I belonged. Now, every memory was tainted. Had he ever loved me? Or was it all a lie? We need to go to the police, Mia said, her voice firm. This is bigger than you, Ethan. If your dad's involved, and Julian's playing both sides, you're in danger. No police, I said quickly. Not yet. I need to confront Julian. I need to hear it from him. Mia groaned. Ethan, that's a terrible idea. He's not the guy you thought he was. Maybe not, I admitted. But I have to know. I can't just walk away. She sighed but didn't argue. Instead, she pulled out her laptop and started digging, her fingers flying across the keys. Mia was a freelance journalist, used to uncovering secrets. Within hours, she'd found a Lita bar in Albany where Julian had been spotted with Marlowe, one of the names from the folder. We drove there that night, the city's lights blurring past. The bar was a dive, all sticky floors and dim neon. Julian was in a corner booth, laughing with a man I recognized from the photos: Vincent Marlowe. mid-40s, slick and dangerous. My heart pounded as I approached, Mia trailing behind me. Ethan. Julian's smile vanished when he saw me. Marlowe's eyes narrowed, assessing. We need to talk, I said, my voice steady despite the chaos inside me. Now. Julian hesitated, glancing at Marlowe, who gave a slight nod. We stepped outside, the cold air biting my skin. What are you doing here? Julian hissed. You shouldn't be involved in this. Involved in what? I snapped. Your lies. My dad's secrets. Or the fact that you used me. His face softened, just for a moment. Ethan, I never wanted to hurt you. I was in too deep before I realized. Realized what? That you loved me. I laughed, sharp and bitter. Don't. Just tell me the truth. What's my father doing? And what's your role in it? He looked away, his jaw tight. Your father's company is a front for Marlowe's operation. They move money, drugs, whatever pays. I was hired to make sure you weren't a threat, that you didn't know anything. But you didn't. And I fell for you. That wasn't part of the plan. I wanted to scream, to hit him, to beg him to take it all back. Instead, I asked, what's Marlowe planning now? Julian's eyes darted to the bar's door. He's tying up loose ends. Your dad's getting cold feet, talking about going to the feds. Marlowe wants him silenced. And your leverage. My blood ran cold. Leverage for what? To keep your dad in line. Or to take him out if he talks. I stepped back, the world tilting. Mia grabbed my arm, her voice low. We need to go, Ethan. Now. But before we could move, Marlowe stepped outside, his smile all teeth. Ethan Caldwell, he said, like he was greeting an old friend. You're a hard man to track down. Julian tensed, stepping between us. Leave him out of this, Vincent. Marlowe's laugh was cold. Too late for that. He's in it now. The street felt like a trap, the bar's neon sign flickering above us. I didn't know who to trust, Julian, who'd betrayed me but was now protecting me, or my own instincts, screaming to run. One thing was clear, my 25th birthday had set something in motion, and there was no going back. Marlowe's men closed in, two shadows peeling from the alley's darkness. My pulse thundered, but Julian's hand on my arm was steady, grounding. Stay behind me, he whispered, his voice low but urgent. Mia's grip tightened on my other arm, her eyes scanning for an escape. You're making this harder than it needs to be, Julian, Marlowe said, his tone almost bored. Hand him over, and we forget this little scene. Not happening, Julian snapped, his body tense, like a coil ready to snap. I'd never seen him like this fierce, protective. Was it real, or just another act? Mia tugged me toward her car, parked a block away. Move, she hissed, but Marlowe's men were faster, blocking our path. One grabbed my wrist, yanking me forward. I stumbled, panic clawing at my chest. Julian moved like lightning, shoving the man back with a force I didn't know he had. Touch him again, and you're done, he growled. The man hesitated, glancing at Marlowe, who raised a hand to stop him. Enough, Marlowe said. Ethan, you want answers? Come with me. Your father's waiting. My father. I froze, the folder's weight heavy in my jacket. He's here. Marlowe's smile was a blade. Let's just say he's motivated to see you. Julian's eyes met mine, a silent plea. Don't trust him, Ethan. Whatever he says, it's a trap. But I needed to know. About my father. About Julian. About the mess I'd been dragged into. I'm going, I said, shaking off Mia's grip. Stay here, Mia. I'll be okay. Ethan. No, she started. But I was already moving, following Marlowe to a black SUV idling nearby. Julian fell and stepped beside me. His jaw set. Marlowe didn't stop him. The drive was silent, the city giving way to industrial warehouses on Albany's outskirts. My mind raced. Julian's hand brushed mine in the back seat, a fleeting touch that felt like an apology. I didn't pull away, but I didn't forgive him either. We stopped at a nondescript building, its windows dark. Inside, my father sat at a metal table, his face haggard, a far cry from the polished man I'd seen yesterday. Two more of Marlowe's men stood guard, their presence a quiet threat. Ethan, my father said, his voice rough. You shouldn't have come. Tell me everything, I demanded, ignoring the ache in my chest. What's Marlowe got on you? Why am I here? He glanced at Marlowe, who nodded, leaning against the wall like he owned the place. Your father made a deal, Marlowe said. He built my empire, laundered my money through his projects. But he got greedy, started skimming. Now he owes me. I was trying to get out. My father cut in, his eyes on me. For you, Ethan. I thought if I could clean things up, maybe we could fix things. Fix things. I laughed, the sound raw. You threw me out. You don't get to play the hero now. I know, he said, his voice breaking. But when I heard they were targeting you, I told them I'd talk to the feds. I thought it would protect you. Marlowe chuckled. And that's why we're here. You're going to convince him to stay quiet, Ethan, or we take it out on both of you. Julian stepped forward, his voice low. You don't need Ethan. Let him go, and I'll make sure James cooperates. Marlowe's eyes glinted. You're not in a position to negotiate, Julian. You've been sloppy, falling for the mark, feeding me half-truths. You're as much a liability as they are. The air shifted, heavy with unspoken threats. I looked at Julian, searching for the man I'd loved, the one who'd made me believe in forever. Was he still in there? Or was this all a game? Before I could speak, a crash echoed outside, glass shattering. Shouts. Marlowe's men drew their guns, and Julian grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the door. Run, he whispered, but my father was still at the table, his face pale. Dad, come on, I shouted, but he shook his head. Go, Ethan. I'm done running. Marlowe's men were moving, and Julian dragged me outside, where Mia's car screeched to a stop. Get in, she yelled, and I dove into the back seat, Julian behind me. Gunshots rang out as we sped away, my heart in my throat. What the hell was that? I gasped, twisting to look at Julian. Mia called in a favor, he said, breathless. She's got friends in low places. Mia's eyes met mine in the rearview mirror. You're welcome. Now what's the plan? I didn't have one. My father was still in there, maybe dead by now. Julian was a traitor, but he'd just saved my life. And Marlowe wasn't done with any of us. My 25th birthday had turned into a nightmare, and the only way out was through. The car tore through Albany's back roads, Mia's knuckles white on the wheel. My mind was a tangle of betrayal and fear. My father's defeated face burned into my memory. Julian sat beside me, silent, his hand still lingering near mine like he wanted to reach out, but didn't dare. Where are we going? I asked, my voice raw. The city lights blurred outside, a reminder of how far I was from the life I'd known. Somewhere safe, Mia said, glancing at Julian. Unless you've got a better idea. Double agent. Julian flinched, but didn't bite back. There's a safe house, about an hour north. Marlowe doesn't know about it. I used it when I needed to lie low. You expect us to trust you. I snapped, the hurt spilling over. After everything. No, he said quietly, his eyes meeting mine. But I'm trying to fix this. Ethan, I owe you that. I wanted to hate him, to shove him out of the car and out of my life. But the way he'd stood between me and Marlo, the way he'd risked himself, it muddied the anger. I turned away, focusing on the road. The safe house was a rundown cabin in the woods, hidden by pines and neglect. Inside, it was bare but functional: a cot, a table, a dusty propane heater. Mia started a fire while Julian checked the perimeter, his movements sharp, like he was still on a job. We can't stay long, he said, returning. Marlo's got eyes everywhere. If he's after your dad, he's after you too. My dad, I said, the words heavy. Is he? Julian hesitated. I don't know. Marlo's not stupid, won't kill him yet. James is too valuable. Valuable, I muttered. That's all any of us are to him. To you. Julian's face tightened, but he didn't argue. Mia, ever the peacemaker, handed me a mug of instant coffee. Drink. Then we figure out what's next. I took the mug, the warmth grounding me. We need to know what Marlo's planning. If my dad's a loose end, what's the end game? Julian pulled a USB drive from his pocket, his movements careful. This is everything I could pull from Marlo's network before I got distracted. He glanced at me, guilt in his eyes. It's encrypted, but it's got names, accounts, locations. Enough to bring him down. Why didn't you use it? Mia asked, her tone sharp. You had all this, and you still played Ethan. I was trying to protect him, Julian said, his voice rising. If I'd moved too soon, Marlo would have known. Ethan would have been the first target. Stop, I cut in, my head pounding. Just stop. I don't care about your reasons anymore. Can we use this to stop Marlo? Julian nodded. If we can decrypt it. I know someone who can help a hacker. Off the grid. But it's risky. Marlo's already on edge. Then we move fast, Mia said. Where's this hacker? Syracuse, Julian replied. We can be there by morning. The drive was tense, the USB drive burning a hole in my pocket. I kept replaying my father's words. I was trying to get out. For you. Had he meant it? Or was it just another manipulation? And Julian, could I believe anything he said? We reached Syracuse at dawn, the city waking up in a haze of frost. Julian's contact, a wiry woman named Tara, lived in a basement apartment cluttered with monitors and empty energy drink cans. She took the USB, her eyes lighting up like it was Christmas. This is juicy, she said, already typing. Give me a few hours. While Tara worked, Mia and I sat on a sagging couch, Julian pacing nearby. You okay? Mia asked, her voice soft. No, I admitted. I don't know who to trust. My dad, Julian. Myself, I am lost. Mia? She squeezed my hand. You're not lost. You're fighting. That's enough for now. Tara's voice broke the moment. Got it. She spun her laptop toward us, a spreadsheet of names and numbers glowing on the screen. Marlo's running a network: drugs, money, political favors. Your dad's company was the clean face, but he's been skimming for years. Marlo's planning a big move, cleaning house, starting with James. And me, I said, my stomach sinking. Tara nodded. Your leverage. But there's more. Julian's name is on here, not as a hired hand. He's listed as a partner. I turned to Julian, my heart in my throat. A partner. His face paled. Ethan, I can explain. No, I said, standing. No more explanations. You're done. But as I stormed toward the door, Tara's voice stopped me. Wait. There's a meeting tonight. Marlowe's gathering his inner circle. If you want to end this, that's your shot. I looked at Julian, the man I'd loved, the man who'd broken me. Could I trust him one last time? Or was I walking into another trap? The meeting was set for midnight in an abandoned factory on Syracuse's west side, a place that reeked of rust and forgotten industry. Tara's intel painted a grim picture. Marlowe was consolidating power, eliminating risks me father, me, maybe even Julian. I didn't know if I was walking into a fight or a funeral, but I couldn't stop now. Julian drove, his hands steady on the wheel, but his silence screamed guilt. Mia sat in the back, her phone glowing as she texted a contact at the local paper, ready to leak the story if things went south. I clutched the USB drive, its weight my only anchor. If we could get this to the right people, Marlowe's empire would collapse. But first, we had to survive the night. Ethan, Julian said, his voice low as we parked a block from the factory. If this goes wrong, you run. Don't look back. Don't. I snapped, my chest tight. You don't get to play hero after lying to me. He flinched but nodded. Fair. But I'm not letting Marlowe touch you. Mia grabbed my arm. We stick together. Okay. No hero crap from either of you. The factory loomed ahead, its broken windows like empty eyes. We slipped inside, the air thick with dust and the hum of voices deeper in. Julian led us through a maze of rusted machinery, his steps silent, practiced. I hated how much I still noticed about him, the way his shoulders tensed, the way his eyes scanned for danger. Love doesn't vanish overnight, even when it's poisoned. We crouched behind a stack of crates, peering at a makeshift meeting room lit by a single bulb. Marlowe stood at the center, flanked by 4 men, their suits out of place in the grime. My father was there, tied to a chair, his face bruised but defiant. My heart lurched was alive. For now. He's out, Marlowe was saying, his voice sharp. James thought he could play me, but no one walks away from this. One of the men, a bald guy with a scar across his cheek, gestured at my father. What about the kid? He's still out there. Marlowe's smile was cold. Julian's handling it. Or he's dead too. My stomach dropped. Julian's hand brushed mine, a silent reassurance. But I pulled away. Partner or not, he'd known too much, hidden too much. We need to move, Mia whispered. If we can get your dad out. Before she could finish, a shout echoed. One of Marlowe's men had spotted us. Over there. Chaos erupted. Julian yanked me down as a gunshot cracked, the bullet splintering the crate above us. Mia scrambled for cover, cursing under her breath. Marlowe's men fanned out, and I saw my father struggling against his restraints. His eyes locked on me. Ethan, go, he shouted, his voice raw. Julian pulled me toward a side exit, but I resisted. We can't leave him. We will, Julian said, his grip iron. But not like this. We need a plan. Another shot rang out, and Mia screamed not pain, but anger. She'd grabbed a metal pipe and swung it at one of Marlowe's men, knocking him out cold. Move, she yelled, and we ran, ducking through the factory shadows. Outside, we piled into the car, my heart pounding. We have to go back, I said, my voice shaking. He's all I have left. We will, Julian promised, starting the engine. But we need help. Tara's got a contact in the FBI. We get the USB to them, and Marlowe's done. I wanted to believe him, but trust was a fragile thing, and mine was in pieces. Still, I nodded. Fine. But if you're lying again, Julian, I'm done with you. For good. He didn't answer, just drove. the factory fading in the rearview mirror. Mia was already on her phone, relaying everything to Tara. By the time we reached a diner outside Syracuse, Tara had a plan. Her FBI contact would meet us at dawn, but only if we could guarantee the USB's data was legit. We spent the night in that diner, the three of us hunched over coffee in fear. Julian told me more how he'd been recruited young, how Marlo had leverage on him too, debts from a past he wouldn't share. I listened, but every word felt like a test. Could I forgive him? Did I even want to? As dawn broke, Tara's contact arrived, a woman in her 40s. Agent Reyes, with a no-nonsense stare. She took the USB, her expression unreadable. If this checks out, we can move on Marlo by tonight, she said. But you need to stay low. All of you. I nodded, exhaustion settling in. My father was still out there, and Julian was still a question mark. But for the first time since my 25th birthday, I felt a spark of hope. Maybe I could end this, maybe I could save us both. The diner's fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting harsh shadows on Agent Reyes' face as she slid the USB into her laptop. My hands trembled around my coffee mug, the weight of the past 3 days pressing down. Julian sat across from me, his eyes on the table, while Mia paced, her phone clutched like a lifeline. It's good, Reyes said after what felt like hours. Her voice clipped. Marlo's operation is bigger than we thought. Drugs, trafficking, political bribes. Your father's company was the linchpin. Ethan, this could bring it all down. And my dad? I asked, my throat tight. Can you get him out? Reyes hesitated. We'll try. But Marlo's desperate. He knows James is a liability, and you're a loose end. We need to move fast. She outlined the plan, a raid on the factory at midnight, with us staying in protective custody until Marlo was in cuffs. Julian's role was trickier. His name on the USB made him a target, but Reyes agreed to let him help, provided he cooperated fully. I didn't know if I trusted him, but I needed him to get through this. We were moved to a safe house outside Syracuse, a nondescript suburban home that smelled of bleach and old carpet. Mia crashed on the couch, exhausted, while Julian and I sat in the kitchen, the silence between us heavy. I wanted to ask him 1,000 things: why he'd lied, if he'd ever loved me, if I could ever trust him again. Instead, I said, why didn't you tell me from the start? He leaned back, his face tired. I wanted to. But Marlo had me on a leash. Debts, threats, my own mistakes. When I met you, I thought it'd be easy. Just a job. But you were different. Ethan, you made me want to be better. I laughed, sharp and bitter. And yet you kept lying. I know, he said, his voice breaking. I thought I could protect you by keeping you in the dark. I was wrong. I didn't have an answer. My heart still ached for the Julian I'd known, but that man felt like a ghost. Before I could speak, Reyes called us in time to prep for the raid. The factory was a fortress now, Marlo's men patrolling the perimeter. Reyes' team moved like shadows, and I watched from a van, my stomach in knots. Julian was with them, wired and armed, his face set in a way that made him look like a stranger. Mia sat beside me, her hand on mine. He's trying. Ethan, she said softly. Doesn't make it right, but he's trying. The raid began with a flashbang, the night erupting in chaos. Through the van's feed, I saw Julian slip inside, moving toward where my father was last held. Gunfire echoed, and my breath caught. Every shot felt like it could be the one to end him, or my dad, or both. Minutes stretched like hours. Then Julian's voice crackled through the radio. James is secure. Moving out. Relief flooded me, but it was short-lived. Marlo wasn't done. As Reyes' team closed in, he slipped through a side exit, vanishing into the night. My father was safe, bruised but alive, and Julian had kept his promise. But Marlo was still out there, and that meant this wasn't over. Back at the safe house, my father hugged me for the first time since I was a kid. "I'm sorry, Ethan," he whispered, his voice raw. "For everything." I didn't forgive him, not yet, but I hugged him back, tears burning my eyes. Julian stood apart, watching us, his expression unreadable. When Reyes debriefed us, she was blunt. Marlo's escape meant we weren't safe. Not until he was caught. That night, I found Julian on the porch, staring at the stars. "You saved him," I said, my voice quiet. "Why?" "Because I love you," he said simply. "And I owe you a life without lies." I didn't know if I could believe him, but for the first time, I wanted to try. We stood there, the distance between us shrinking, the night holding its breath. My 25th birthday had taken everything me trust. My home, my heart, but it had also given me something, a chance to rebuild, to find truth, to maybe, just maybe, find my way back to love. Marlo's escape hung over us like a storm cloud, but for the first time in days, I could breathe. My father was alive, sitting in a safe house bedroom under FBI watch, and Julian was still here, despite everything. The kitchen table was littered with coffee cups and case files. Reyes outlining our next steps. "We've got his network crumbling," she said. "But Marlo's a ghost. He'll come for you, Ethan, unless we get him first." I nodded, my eyes drifting to Julian. He was quieter now, his usual confidence replaced by something raw, vulnerable. I wanted to hate him, to hold on to the anger. But the way he'd risked everything for me and my father, it complicated things. Mia, ever practical, broke the silence. "So, what's the play? We can't hide forever." Reyes leaned forward. "We've got a Lita warehouse in Buffalo where Marlo's stashing assets. If we move now, we can cut him off. Julian, you know his patterns. You're with us." Julian nodded, but his eyes were on me. "Ethan, if you want me gone after this, I'll go. No questions." I didn't answer. I couldn't, not yet. Instead, I followed them to Buffalo, the USB's data now in the FBI's hands, fueling a nationwide manhunt. The warehouse was a fortress of steel and shadows, Marlo's last stand. Reyes' team surrounded it, and I watched from a safe distance, my heart in my throat. Julian moved with the agents, his face set, every step deliberate. I hated how much I still cared, how my chest tightened at the thought of him not coming back. Mia stayed with me, her presence a quiet strength. "You'll figure it out," she said, reading my mind. "You always do." The raid was swift, brutal. Marlo's men fought back, but the FBI was relentless. When the dust settled, Marlo was in cuffs, his empire shattered. Julian emerged, blood on his cheek, but alive, his eyes finding mine across the chaos. My father was released the next day, his testimony secured in exchange for protection. He sat me down in a sterile FBI office, his hands shaking. "I never wanted this for you, Ethan," he said. "I thought pushing you away would keep you safe. I was wrong." I nodded, the weight of years between us softening. "I need time," I said, "but I want to try to be family again." He smiled, a real one, and for the first time, I saw the man he might have been if greed hadn't broken him. Julian was waiting outside, his future uncertain. Reyes had offered him a deal, cooperate fully, and he'd avoid charges. But his eyes were on me, searching for something I wasn't sure I could give. "I'm sorry, Ethan," he said, his voice low. "For all of it. I love you, but I know I've lost you." I stepped closer, my heart a battlefield. "You broke me, Julian. But you also saved me. I don't know what that means yet. He nodded, his eyes bright with unshed tears. I'll wait. As long as it takes. We didn't kiss, didn't fall into each other's arms. But as I walked away, Mia at my side, I felt something shift. My 25th birthday had stripped me bare me trust. My home, my heart, but it had also shown me who I was. I was Ethan Caldwell, a man who'd loved, lost, and fought. A man who could forgive. Maybe. In time. Months later, I was back in Brooklyn, rebuilding. My father and I talked weekly. Slow steps towards something new. Julian sent letters. Never pushing. Just there. I didn't write back, but I kept them. A stack of promises in my drawer. One evening, I walked to the community center where I volunteered. The place Julian had once watched me from the shadows. The kids were painting murals, their laughter filling the air. I thought of Julian's smile, the one I'd loved before the lies. I thought of my father's regret, my own resilience. I wasn't whole yet, but I was healing. And maybe, just maybe, I'd find my way back to love, not the kind that breaks, but the kind that builds. My 25th birthday had taken everything, but it had given me something too, a chance to start again. To be the man I was always meant to be.